Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sue on Chat to Sue, a channel where parents talk about things that we really need to talk about. Today's topic is the silent treatment. What is that? Silent treatment is when a person shuts you down for calling them out on their behavior. They literally shut you down. They're not talking to you and discussing what they've done. Um, they just, okay, I don't want to talk type of story, right? So I didn't know about silent treatment until I was a little older, was in university studying psychology. And I thought, oh, whoa. So it's a thing that people use to make you feel guilty. Yeah, that was an eye opening for me, right? Anyway, I've got Dr. Romani to explain more on this. Let's hear what she says.
Hi everyone, it's Dr. Romani and welcome back to this channel that takes on all things narcissistic with the hope of creating more understanding and maybe even sort of helping you help yourself as you navigate these tricky waters. Today we're going to take on a very common issue in narcissistic relationships called the silent treatment. If you've ever experienced it, you know what it is. Before I start talking about the silent treatment though, please hit that subscribe button and join this channel. Hit that bell if you want to get notifications. And as always, when you come up with ideas for videos, please don't hesitate. Drop them down in the comments because it's your suggestions that often drive the kinds of content I research and develop. So let's talk about the silent treatment. It is so frustrating, okay? If you've ever been through it, you're like, oh, I know what you're talking about. The silent treatment is definitely one of the key weapons in the narcissist's arsenal. Many of you have asked me about this. I've gotten countless comments, emails, you name it. So here we go. Maybe this belonged in the glossary series. I don't know. Regardless, here it is. So do with it what you will. So the silent treatment is exactly what it sounds like. Now, I'll give you an example. One day, perhaps, you have an argument with somebody narcissistic or difficult in your life, or maybe you issue a small criticism, or they just didn't like something you said or did. That happens, and they just stop talking to you. They just stop. Now, if you don't live with them, they may stop answering any communications and may stop responding and stop reaching out. If you do live with them, they will live in silence with you. And if you talk to them, they will either ignore you, or if it is essential, they may say something. At best, they'll give you a one-word answer. Yes, no, over there. Or they'll engage in a verbal gesture. Hey, you'll say, hey, where's the keys? And they will then put the keys in front of you and walk away without a word. Now, if you have ever lived with any of this, you know it, and it is miserable. You would almost just rather have the fight and not deal with this. It is an uncomfortable and very difficult way to live, and it's always kind of hanging over your head, this idea that, oh my gosh, the silent treatment is going to come again. So, let's talk about the 5 classical reasons for the silent treatment. The first reason is stonewalling or manipulation. In other words, what they're doing is they're using the silent treatment as a way to maybe draw out an apology, to punish you, to get you to do something that they may want to do or want you to do. So it's very much this, by stonewalling you, the reason it's considered to be a form of manipulation is because then it becomes a way of using their silence almost as a sort of a source of power, of sorts. So that is one reason that they do engage in the silent treatment. It just becomes a manifestation of stonewalling with the result of manipulation, and then you end up behaviorally doing something they want, or in essence, they kind of almost get their needs met. The second thing that is seen within the silent treatment is gaslighting. What we can sometimes see is that they will, when somebody gives you the silent treatment, it almost feels as though your reality is being absolutely denied. You are in a room and you're with a person and they are not talking to you. And you're thinking, is this really happening? And then you might even start blaming yourself. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. This is my fault. And instead of seeing that the silent treatment is completely unacceptable, you may actually start twisting your reality in a way that you're blaming yourself, and that in some way this silent treatment can actually feel like it becomes acceptable. It's not. A third element that is at play in stonewalling is that it's a manifestation of an emotional immaturity, or really like a lack of interpersonal skill. When you think about what the silent treatment is, I don't know if you've ever watched a 2.5-year-old hold his or her breath. They will sometimes hold their breath until they pass out. So it is that, I'm going to get my way, and then they pass out. That's the silent treatment in an adult. I'm not getting my way. I'm not going to talk. It's a tantrum. It's a quiet tantrum, but it is nonetheless a tantrum. And tantrums are for children. So when somebody is throwing one as an adult through the silent treatment, it very much is a manifestation of not only emotional immaturity, but a real lack of interpersonal skill. Because what it really shows is an incapacity to communicate as an adult about something that's uncomfortable. And because narcissists find it so difficult to take personal responsibility for something that they may have said wrong or misunderstood, or they're really not able to find common ground, that lack of interpersonal skill means instead of actually having an evolved adult conversation, they will just simply do the silent treatment, which ultimately is a form of manipulation, which will end up drawing you out, and you still have to be the only grown-up in the room. Reason number 4 that can often draw out the silent treatment is dysregulation. And what do I mean by dysregulation? Dysregulation is the inability to regulate emotions in any way. It is why, for example, narcissists are so prone to rage. Something happens to them and they blow up, instead of, again, having an adult tempered conversation. So when we look at dysregulation with the silent treatment, it's as though there's so much strong, petulant feeling that instead of being able to regulate that feeling, they are actually manifesting this absolutely dysregulated anger by being completely silent. And what it does is it almost creates exactly the same tension as a rage episode would. But because they can't manage strong emotion, they either fully explode or completely withhold. But either way, the emotion is not getting appropriately communicated, and either way, whether rage or silent treatment, it can be experienced as very punitive by the other person in the relationship. A fifth driver of the silent treatment is the chronic victimhood we see in a narcissist. Woe is me, nothing goes my way, nobody understands me, I guess I just won't talk. And it can feel very passive-aggressive. The victimhood-driven silent treatment is something we far more often see in a covert narcissistic pattern. But the silent treatment is a part of every narcissistic pattern I've talked about. For example, in the neglectful narcissistic relationship, the neglectful narcissist lives and dies by the silent treatment. They are almost, it's like permanently what they call home. It's rare that they do talk. The malignant narcissist will often use the silent treatment as a form of menace or to control you. the covert narcissist, again, from that place of victimhood. But there is this very victimized sense about all kinds of narcissists, magnified in the covert narcissist, but the silent treatment is as though, woe is me, and it becomes sort of this passive-aggressive acting out that ultimately leaves you, sometimes even taking the blame in these conversations. A final, sorry, a final piece of the silent treatment we haven't considered is the talking through model of the silent treatment. And by that I mean, it's a very manipulative tool that I've talked about in other videos where they won't talk to you, but they will talk through other people. Will you please tell your mother that the keys are hanging by the door? Will you please tell your father that I won't be joining him for dinner? So it's kind of sort of a pseudo-silent treatment because obviously you can hear what they're saying, but they're making this dramatic, histrionic show of, I'm not going to talk to them. I'm only going to talk to whomever this third party is. And if you ever grew up like this, and this is a very triangulated theme, where a narcissistic parent will use you as the child, as the communication device, to be able to punish the other spouse with the silent treatment, but then draw their kids into this triangulated space. The silent treatment, although it very much can come through the stonewalling space, gaslighting, emotional immaturity or lack of interpersonal skill, dysregulation, and victimhood, that those are really the 5 primary drivers for why the silent treatment comes through. It can manifest in many different ways: one-word answers, absolute silence, talking through other people, and non-response. No matter what, it is a classical part of a narcissistic relationship. Here's the key though. How do you master it? Don't give into it. You can outplay them. It's a bit like a staring contest you had as a kid. They're going to give you that silent treatment. You're often going to fall into that trap of, maybe this is my fault, maybe I need to apologize, because you just want to break that tension of the silent treatment. You can really train yourself to not give in and say, okay, I can do a little bit of a post-it world. I can communicate like this, because you have put so much time and effort into trying to save this rather broken, often messy relationship. You can out-silent treat them. I'm not saying that this is healthy. I think the healthiest path is to communicate in a healthy way. But since they're likely not going to ascribe to that, you can also show yourself the respect and say, I'm certainly not going to blame myself for this, and say that to yourself internally. You don't need to say it to them. And then learn to peaceably exist with them. In fact, I would say you could pretend that if your narcissistic partner or family member is giving you the silent treatment, pretend you're at a silent meditation retreat and try to make the most of it. I don't mean to make light of it, but the fact is the reason narcissists get away with the silent treatment is because we often enable it because we give them the results we want. We apologize, take the blame, take the responsibility, do anything we can to start the conversation again because it's so tense. You can stick this out, but most importantly, view the silent treatment as the red flag that it is. It is a very unhealthy relationship dynamic. And when it happens, the one thing that you should be hearing loudly in the midst of all this silence is that you're looking at one very big red flag. I hope that clarified some of the issues around the silent treatment. And I know those of you suffering with it, while this may not change it, I hope you understand where it comes from, some ways to cope with it, and different ways it can manifest. Thanks again for tuning in. As always, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, and please join us on this YouTube channel. Thank you.
Yeah, you had parents. Yeah, silent treating your kids is not really, or anyone for that matter, is not very healthy, right? Sit down and talk about stuff. If we offended each other, let's sit down. Tell me what I've done. I'll tell you what you've done, and let's resolve this. Because being silent treated is not a healthy way of dealing with things. It's very manipulative. But yeah, thank you for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let's learn and build a mental healthy nation. Sending you so much love and healing. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.